Kia ora.
Kia ora, there you are, brother.
How are you, man?
Wow. Dude, I'm impressed by you stepping up to do this, man. It's wow. How you feeling about it?
Yeah, excited.
Yeah.
So it's taken a lot of work to get to this stage, eh? And it's been part of the setup for the last sort of 3-4 months, and even going back till November last year, actually been part of that coaching staff with Tana for that game against New Zealand Māori. So I've always been on the waka in a support capacity. And now have the privilege of leading as head coach. So no, really excited.
Mate, originally you weren't talking about being involved. You were helping out and part of the building process. What made you shift in to say, yeah, I'm going to put my hand up and take the big job?
Yeah, good question, Josh. It really come down to a conversation I had with Sir Michael Jones and Sir Brian Williams and the
big people, mate.
The big dogs in the Barbarians Lounge at Eden Park, along with Kevin Senior and Joe Smith as part of his role with World Rugby. Sat down and just looked at where things are at for Moana Pasifika around the licence process, and it was pretty hard to say no to a couple of legends like that. They really spoke to my heart. You know, my ancestry is through my grandmother. Was born in a little island called Rurutu off Tahiti.
Nice.
She was whangaed out to her auntie, lived in Rarotonga until she was about 1920. And then she migrated to New Zealand when she was at that age. So, it's always been a special part of my heritage, something I've always been really proud to represent. And so talking to those guys that day in the Barbarians Lounge at Eden Park really spoke to my heart around the purpose for Pasifika and our people, and try and create our own way in the rugby environment. So a lot of hard work by those guys and other giants in our Pacific community that have set this up. So it was I thought about it for a few weeks, talked to a few people. But in the end, it felt the right thing to do to come on board and be a big part of it.
You talked about those power heads, and I guess and have set the bar really high in Pacific Island rugby. They are a major part of this whole thing going forward.
Yeah, they are. Yeah. So Michael's a chair on the board, and he's been hugely influential, behind bringing this to life. And Sir BG, he's been campaigning for this for 30 years, and he's put his heart and soul in it for 30 years, and he's taken so many people along that journey with him, and it's a real privilege to be serving alongside these two legends. Also acknowledge the work that a lot of people have done in the background as well. In our Pacifica community, the rest of our board, Kevin Senior has been a big part of this as well, setting it up as rugby director. I've had huge support from the NZRU around the licensing process. It's taken a lot of people to get us to where we are, a lot of hard work, and they're really grateful for what they've done.
Nice, mate. Well said. Hey, you've been named, but who are your backup crew? What are you putting together to take this team into the next sort of part of Super Rugby?
Yeah, it's a good question, mate. My focus really in the last 3 months has been on 4 things. Yeah. So the first one being people, the next one being our program, having our program ready for when we start building our home, which is obviously at Mount Smart Stadium. We're going to be based at Mount Smart as well with our training. And the last one just around how we communicate and how we build our relationships, through the setup process, which, as you know, is pretty key. So in terms of people, yeah, man, it's been busy. Lots of conversations going on with potential staff, coaches, medical staff, analysts, and really trying to get lead of departments to help us build our program. obviously playing. Need 38 players as well. So poor old Kevvy's been a bit of a tough gig for Kevy with the contracting. Most contracting teams have sort of 7 or 8 this time the contract, and Kevy's trying to get through 38 in terms of executing those deals and talk with agents. And in the process to get there, obviously we're viewing a lot of footage at the moment through the NPC. Also building really strong relationships with Totai Kefu at Tongan coach and the Tongan Rugby Union, and also Salala Mapasua for the Samoan team. So, obviously a big part of our purpose is to assist the growth in Samoan and Tongan rugby. And so those relationships have been pretty key, and they've helped us build our squad to date. And those players will be released in the coming weeks.
How do you juggle those? You've just mentioned 2 cultures. How do you juggle that and make a single, I guess, make a team? Create a team culture out of that. Revamp it.
Yeah, well, we are one.
Yeah,
we are Pasifika.
Yeah.
There's a great quote from one of our legends, Professor Epeli Hawafa, is a Tongan writer, and the quote goes, "Let us not be defined by the smallness of our islands, but in the greatness of our ocean."
Yeah, nice.
And I think that sums us up really, because we are connected by the ocean. The ocean being Moana, which is us, and the ocean also connecting us to tangata whenua of Aotearoa here in New Zealand, where we're going to be based. So I think that quote is really pertinent to where we're at, and what you're talking about is bringing us together. We've been bound forever by our ocean, and I can't see that being too much of an issue. Bringing our boys together to create one, which is Moana.
Yeah, I love it, mate. It sounds great, mate. You talk. I know in the newspapers they've been talking about the 80%, 20%. Ratio of people outside of the Pacific side of things. Has that been difficult to stay in that realm, or has it just happened naturally?
No, we've got a lot of talent, a lot of Pacific talent, and we've seen that through history. You just look at all the great All Blacks of Pacifica heritage. So they're always coming through, whether they're in the islands or whether first generation, second generation, third generation New Zealand families. So there's plenty of our guys coming through the pathway. So you've plenty to choose from. Primarily, that's our focus. Want to be have that focus on Pacifica eligible players or players of Pacifica heritage, and so far it's all looking pretty good.
Mate, you mentioned about Mount Smart being your home. Not a lot of options, I guess, but a logical place, Mount Smart. Does it feel comfortable?
Yeah, it does feel comfortable. I think the guys at Mount Smart have been awesome, awesome to deal with. It's, at the higher level where I know our CEO and Sir Michael have done a lot of work in this space, growing that relationship, working with Scott Couch and his team at Mount Smart. And yeah, mate, I think it sort of really hits where our fan base is going to be. And it's obviously unfortunate that the Warriors won't be able to be there, but they've also been really accommodating, bringing us into that space as well. It's been their home for a long time, and they've shared a lot of their learnings too, through history, which has been great. So yeah, I think it's a great place. We're going to be set up in the Oceania Football Centre. We'll make that our home, own ground, own space. And then obviously for our home games, look forward to seeing our Pacifica community in the crowd.
Beautiful, mate. My understanding is around about 30 signings so far, or close to. Difficult to get that last 8, or is that just the journey that every team has to go through?
Yeah, so obviously part of our recruitment strategy was sitting down and with our coaching staff that we've sort of got on board at the moment, and identifying how we're going to play, what that might look like for us, taking into consideration some pretty powerful DNA and some physical traits there. And then looking at key things in any side, looking at the spine of your team, the quality through your spine, looking at leadership across your position groups. We knew that we were going to have a few first-timers to professional rugby at this level, so important to put some older heads around them and strong leadership structure in place. So that's been really important for us. So we focused on that first. Then we looked at the profile, make sure we're getting the right players that fit how we think we might play. Obviously, that's a little bit tougher when you haven't had a lot of experience with these guys. So we'll learn a bit about that as we go through. And yeah, to be sitting at 30 has been awesome, mate. It's been a lot of work going to get us here. A lot of conversations with players and agents and coaches and getting feedback on players. And around the last 8, no, I don't think it'll be hard at all, mate, to answer your question. Yeah. We've got, depth chart with a lot of players in those positions we're still looking for. Yes. And it's just a matter of how guys front up, I suppose. We've given some of these guys feedback already around what we need to see and also who we need, who we're looking to bring on our waka with us. Yeah. So it's up to them, really, around who performs well and who takes those opportunities over the next 3 or 4 weeks.
Mate, in terms of the Pacifica, the selection is kind of worldwide, because a lot of those young fellas have travelled and gone overseas to find work and whatnot. What's been the interest like of players from the outside in terms of your shopping? I know that's maybe not the right word, but I guess it is shopping for the team that you're after. What's been the sort of the feeling from the players that you've been approaching?
Yeah, really good feeling, eh? Like even people that won't be able to join our in a playing capacity, guys that are still playing around the world, they've reached out and lent their support, from a distance, and that has been global, right around the world. I think it just means so much to our people. We've been speaking with young guys that we've contracted who have told their parents, and their parents have burst into tears, because it means so much for our people. It's the first Pasifika team for Pasifika people to really drive that pathway. So when you think about the magnitude of that and what this actually means for our community, it's massive. So to be a part of it and to have that support globally is, mate, it's pretty heartwarming, eh?
I'm getting all excited, mate. I want to pull the jersey back on, mate.
Have you got a bit of Pacific heritage, have you?
I'm on, mate. I went back in the day when I didn't think the All Blacks were interested in me, and the 95 World Cup seemed like an interest. And I had conversations with BG way back, and the scenario was if the All Blacks didn't show any interest, then that I was welcome to come along.
You certainly hit pretty hard, brother, like our Pacific boys. Maybe there is a little small smidgen in there somewhere.
I broke it all playing, mate. Hey, mate, what needs to happen between now and assemble date for you, the team? What's the pathway now? What needs to happen?
Firstly, getting all our people secured and committed to. So that's finalising our playing roster and finalising our staff. Staff really critical way because they help build the program, especially those with expertise in certain areas like medical staff. And we're probably halfway there with our staff. I think we're halfway there at the moment. And as you said before, 8 players to go. So in a pretty good space. The other one is using those people to help design our program, how we're going to get through what are our critical needs, for pre-season. Obviously, with the COVID impact at the moment, pushing NPC out, that's probably going to shorten our window. So there'll be some challenges around that. So there's constant conversations going around what we can achieve in that period of time, and then making sure we're nailing those critical things for us. The connection is going to be really important, mate, around how we're connecting with our people now, but also when we come together for the first time. As you said, we have, our biggest assets really are our people and our history and our culture. So it's how we bring that all together, all those different flavours, and start connecting as one and building our own team conditions to create our own culture on time. So that's going to be a really important part for us. Probably more important than picking up a rugby ball, to be fair, at the start. Just getting everyone connected.
To be fair, all the best teams are about the family that you create within that environment. Ewan, like, this is a really unique moment. This is like the first time Super Rugby started the first time in 1996. We brought a whole lot of people together, and you're building for the first time. You've already had, I guess, an education in terms of playing and coaching. In the scheme of things, do you feel like you're in the right space going forward? You know, like, are you where you need to be, or is there still a long way? We've still got a long way to go. That was a long-winded question. Sorry, man.
Yeah, no, it's no, I understand what you're saying there. It's a challenge, because like the license only just been approved.
Yes.
So we couldn't really commit to people and then deliver on what we're asking people to commit to in return.
Yeah.
Until that license gets approved. So for any organisation, even our established organisations, and you look at the Crusaders being the most successful of them in time, it's a busy time of year for them as well. So when you're trying to do this an establishment phase and you're trying to get ready for a season, it's busy. So we've got some work to do, but we have faith that we have awesome people involved, and everybody that has joined our ma'a so far has just been amazing in terms of what they're given. There's some long hours going in, but it's because people care, and the people that we have guiding us and leading us, doing everything they can to make this work. So now we have faith in that, and we know that it'll come good. We just know we've got to work and dig in, and if we look after our people, mate, it's a pretty good starting point.
Yeah, nice. Last question, man. New teams to the Super competition have always struggled. What are the expectations that you have to set within the team? Because, I mean, everybody wants it to go right straight away, but it doesn't work like that, does it?
Well, we understand with the new team, we're trying to establish our own organisation, our own team in a tough competition with teams laden full of international players. So it's tough conditions we're going into, and our focus has really been on us. It's really been an internal focus on how do we create the conditions for us to be at our best, because our purpose really is, our aspirations are a lot bigger than the scoreboard. Our aspirations are actually around finding a way and showing a way that our people can believe in, and aspiring them to follow us, connecting them with our journey. And if we can do all that right, then we're going to have good players, We're going to have good staff, and we'll create the right structure to then get results. So, that initial part of the journey might be a little bit bumpy, but I think that's to be expected. But I think in time, based on the quality of people we've got, mate, we'll create some success, we'll find our way, and we'll enjoy the journey and get a few people along for the ride.
Oh, nice, mate. Nice. Sorry, I know I said last question, but like, you guys you'll play games in Tonga and Apia. Like, is that part of the package as well, or eventually, or is it? How does that part work?
Yeah, that's the long-term vision for us to be able to take games to Samoa and Tonga. Couldn't put a timeline on it at the moment. Obviously, with the COVID situation, it's a little bit tricky, and getting in and out of the country would probably be a little bit challenging for next year. Mm-hmm. But definitely, even if it means coaching staff or maybe development programs are run up in the islands to connect with Moana Pasifika, there's a lot of work going on already around that relationship. Obviously, a lot of it's happening like this virtually.
Yeah.
But there's nothing like sitting down face to face, or around the campfire, or actually having good touch points physically up in the islands. So that's certainly our intention, to get up there and spend some time there. When a Super Rugby game happens up there, I'm not sure when exactly that'll be, but it's certainly part of the longer term vision.
Nice, mate. Right, that is awesome. Well spoken, Aaron. Like, dude, loving the fact that you've taken it on board.
Oh, it's my pleasure, mate, and it's a real privilege to be doing it. I think I go back to the conversation here with Sir BG and Sir Michael.
You can't say no.
Can't say no to those guys, mate. And when you understand what it means to our people, it's an easy yes. So now it's our time to make sure we go and get it right and enjoy it. It's going to be a fun ride.